Hi friends, welcome back to the Manifesting Money Podcast. I am super happy and grateful for my consciousness. I'm also happy and grateful for all of my listeners, everyone that's listening to this today, whether you're an old-time listener, a new listener, welcome. But again, guys, I am so unbelievably happy and grateful for my consciousness and my awareness of my reality. And the reason why I say that is because I've been reflecting. If you guys haven't already been doing so, make sure you're reflecting from the year 2021. I feel like it went by so fast. But it's times like this where I really sit still and just listen and just look around and see all of the things that have truly manifested to my reality, that I just get so unbelievably grateful that I am aware that I get to co-create, that I am aware of my thoughts and aware of the fact that I am not my thoughts. And so I'm listening to the book, The Power of Now, right now. If you haven't already heard it, it is so good. I'll put a link in the show notes for you guys. I'm a really big audio person. In this book, you really do have to be present and sit still to listen to it because just the tone that it is. But I'm telling you, it's really, really, again, just brought me back to this place of, wow, I can't believe 4 years ago, I had no idea that my thoughts created my reality. I had no idea that I was a co-creator, and I had no idea that I could detach from my mind. So a lot of times when people hear about manifestation and mindset, they actually want to know, how do I stop thinking negatively? How do I control my thoughts? And in this podcast episode where I am actually getting interviewed, I talk about how it's not about controlling your thoughts. It's really being conscious and aware that you are not your mind. So again, this podcast episode is actually something fun that I wanted to share on the podcast, where I am actually getting interviewed by a beautiful soul who is a spiritual coach based out of New York City, which is so amazing. So Adella, I want to thank you for allowing me to share this on my platform as well. So again, I'm going to be sharing the episode that we did on her podcast. But again, guys, please tune into her podcast. I'm going to actually send or put all of her information in the show notes so you can follow up with her. I really appreciate when you send our guest a DM on Instagram. So I'll be leaving all of her information down below. But again, I thought this would be a really fun episode because a lot of times people see things from the outside looking in and they don't know the full story. They see all the material things that have manifested, but they don't know all of the things that had to shift and all of the hard, quote unquote hard, because things being hard is just a belief, that had to happen in order for the material things to manifest. So I'm really excited that you guys get to hear about my story from day one, where it all started, how things all shifted. And Adella did a great job at asking all of these questions of how it really applies to your everyday life and how it can apply to your life too. So a couple quick announcements before we get to the actual episode is, if you are listening to this before December 18th, you are listening to this for a reason, especially if you are on the West Coast. So we're actually doing our first live event here in San Diego. I've been talking about it all over the podcast, guys, but we are doing a Christmas gala. And this is going to be an annual thing starting this year. So this is, our first live annual Christmas gala. And the reason why I'm putting this together is because I really just want to connect and collaborate all of the people who've been tuning into the podcast, watching us on TikTok, who've supported us via Instagram or in our Facebook group. And when I tell you guys that I get DMs where people are just telling me all of these amazing things that have shifted in their life, it's amazing. But I'm also like, I want to put you in a community where other people are just having these conversations. I truly believe that my first quantum leap happened when I got in a room of people who actually understood the things that I was talking about. So it's one thing when you go through the phase of like, oh, okay, so I'm not crazy, but it's a whole nother level when you start to, again, connect and collaborate with people who are like, oh, so this is how I get to the next level. And you start to understand that everybody in your physical reality are people that you've attracted. And so again, the live energy is unreal, and there's somebody that you are supposed to meet at this party. There's something that you're supposed to hear and something you're supposed to see that's really, really going to shift everything for you. So I always go in with that mentality, and I'm telling you, Source meets me halfway. So a couple more details about the Christmas party. We're going to have some giveaways for you guys. You guys know that I love giving back to the community. We're having some amazing sponsors who are going to be throwing some things in for the people who are there live, but also for the virtual too. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing, but it's this upcoming Saturday and there's no way I'm going to be able to get there, then tune into our virtual event. So we're doing an hour of the actual Christmas gala. That's going to be virtual that you guys can tune in, live stream, and we're going to be doing giveaways specifically for those who are virtual. And then there will be specific giveaways for those who are here live. So again, if you're here live, Ricardo, my last podcast guest, I'm so freaking excited. He's actually going to be there. He's going to be speaking. I have Anita speaking about law of assumption. I have some other surprise guests that I want to bring up to the stage as well. But overall, guys, it's just going to be really fun. And I'm just so excited. And this is like my end of the year shebang where I'm like, thank you, universe. Thank you, source. Like, I can't believe what my reality is right now. And celebrating and live energy is just such a huge thing. So that was the intro that I wanted to give you guys. And now let's get into this podcast episode. And again, I'd really, really love to hear what you get out of this. Please, please, please tag me and Adella on Instagram after you listen. And I hope you all enjoy.
Hi, Anita. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us. Just for everyone listening, my voice is destroyed out of nowhere. I don't know why. I got this like tiny cold and I like can barely speak. But I will tell you that Anita and me have been going like back and forward in trying to do this episode. So I just didn't want to make it any longer, and we just had to have her here. And so welcome, Anita. How are you?
I'm awesome, and I'm so happy and grateful that you've been so patient with me. I know, like we've been like trying to plan this.
No, you've been with me as well.
But honestly, I feel like divine timing. Like, we can get upset about those things all day long, but it's like everybody was meant to hear this, like this exact moment. So here we are.
Yeah, of course. And so, well, I was just telling you that I've been listening to some of your podcast episodes. They're really good. And I've been, following you. And so you are an expert in manifestation. So I know a lot of our listeners will be so happy to hear that from you. But before going there, can you talk a little bit about yourself? Who are you? Why are you here? And what is it that you do?
So beautiful. Yes. I mean, I say that in my bio. I say that in like my intro for my podcast is that I'm an expert at manifesting, but so is everybody listening to this right now. Yeah. It's just a belief. And I'd like to ingrain that in everybody's head, because a lot of times we put other people on the pedestal and it's like, oh, they can do that and it's possible for them. But honestly, my biggest thing is to set the example that everything and anything is possible if your subconscious mind believes it to be true. So a little bit about me. My name is Anita Aguilar. I am the host of the Manifesting Money podcast. And it was not originally that podcast. It actually started as Makeup Mentor podcast. So to rewind like way back, I'd say I like to start when I just started learning about law of attraction and manifestation, because I never not believed in manifestation. I just simply literally just had no idea what it was. I was like, what is it? How does it work? And when I became conscious of it, that's when my life changed. So there's a lot of people who are listening right now who are either just now waking up to it. You're like, holy crap, I had no idea this was even a thing. Now they're hearing podcasts like this. And then there's people who do know about manifesting and law of attraction, and your thoughts create your reality, and we can create our reality. So I like to speak to both audiences. So that's why I like to go back. So it started when I was working 5 different jobs all at once. 5?
How did you do that? How did you have the energy to do that?
I did it. That's the thing. I literally had no idea. Like, I look back at it now and I tell people and I'm like, seriously, how did I do that?
Oh my God.
So my twin sister, I like to point this out, is that she's like she's my rock. She's the one that always kept me on track with my bills, finances, like, and just like, hold me accountable. A lot of times people have that person in their life, whether it's a partner, maybe it's a business partner or stuff like that. But usually it's like super crazy outgoing. And then there's a person who's quote unquote practical, brings you down. And then it's the balance of both that really helps. But long story short, my sister left to deployment and I was by myself. And so I just got really into the masculine energy. All right, I'm going to work and I'm going to pay off all my debt and I'm going to get my credit score up and I'm going to, do all the things that I want to do, start my business. And so when my sister left, like my idea of being really rich and having a lot of money was just working a lot, right? Because that's like what we've been programmed to believe. Right. So Monday through Friday, I would go to my office job, which I hated. It was so sexist. It was like,
no way.
It was so bad. And then I would leave there and I would go home, eat really fast, change my clothes. Get
ready for the second one.
Yeah, go to my next job. And then I would bartend. So I was bartending too. So I bartend on the weekends, sometimes during the week. And if I wasn't doing that, I was driving for Postmates. And then I, once a month, I would do the Army National Guard. I was in the military.
Wow.
And then if I had any other time, that's when I did makeup because, that was what I missed. I was going to school for makeup. So I would go home, I would change, go to makeup school for like 4 hours, get done, drive for Postmates. I'm like, I'm already out here. So might as well do a drive. And
wow. So you were embodying the hustle. Hustle mentality. Well, you were just like in the hustle.
Yeah, it was so bad, honestly, because I mean, like physical energy was one thing, getting tired.
Must have been rough.
But it was mostly like I got to this point where my twin sister got back from deployment. She had been gone for 3 months. They actually let her come back a little bit early. And I realized that I was in more debt. None of my bills were paid on time. Still, I was still late on everything. I obviously was tired. I mean, exhausted wasn't even the word, but it was mostly because I hadn't been eating like the whole entire time. I would just like be so busy that I couldn't eat. So I would just eat at work and then I would eat fast food because I didn't have time. And then I didn't work out. And as soon as I woke up in the morning, it was work, look at my phone, all this different stuff. And so when I got to that breaking point and I realized that one, financially, I wasn't anywhere. I was completely burnt out, exhausted, which I know there's a lot of people listening to this right now. They're like at that point where everything else matters except for you, which is like the opposite of money, of what attracts money. So I listened. My sister wanted me to listen to a book, You Are a Badass at Making Money.
I've heard of it. I've never read it.
Oh,
I even heard that you recommend it in your podcast. Yeah.
So good. So I listened to the book, and in the book, there's a story about a girl named Anita. I know.
No way.
And Anita was quitting.
I love your name, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I love your name. Like, I feel like our names are very similar, but different.
Yeah.
So in the book, Anita was manifesting $60,000 to pay off her mortgage so that she could start her own business, which is what I wanted to do. And so in order to feel comfortable, she wanted to quit her job, have that paid off, and start her business. So she's like visualizing the $60,000. She's putting it everywhere. She's getting into the frequency, learning about law of attraction. This is the first time I even heard the words law of attraction. And she was laying in her bed and nothing happened. And all of a sudden, right before she was about to give up, she remembered that her grandfather gave her a stock when she was in college, I think, something like that. And she goes to her closet and she goes to go pick it out of the closet. And it's the first box that she picks up. And she looks and it's the first paper that's right on top. She didn't even have to look for it. It was right there. So she called the people. She didn't know anything about trading stocks.
How much do I have? So how much do I own?
Yeah. She's like, how do I even do this stuff? I don't even know who to call or what to call. So she calls the people and the stock sold for $60,000 to the T.
Yeah.
So that's when everything changed.
That is I feel like that's exactly how it feels when you're manifesting on purpose. Yeah. Like it totally feels like that. And so from that book, was that the first time that you had like a light on the manifestation world and that you were inspired to change the way that you were doing things?
Oh yeah, I was obsessed. I couldn't stop listening to that book. I
Mhm.
obviously listened to the rest of the Audible, and
Yeah.
then I listened to it again. I'm the type of person where I listen to music as
Wait,
soon
was
as I
that
wake.
story like a true story, or was that like a or oh yeah, it was a true story.
Yeah, it was one of her testimonies, but they just changed the names in the book.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay,
I know,
that's
right? What are the
amazing.
odds? What are the odds for that specific story that it would be Anita?
Yeah.
And then
So you
I
felt it
listened.
was something talking to you. It was a message.
Yeah,
It's definitely a message.
and I like I've at the time, like I obviously didn't like not believe in God. Like I'm like Christian, and I'm like going to church.
No way. How long ago was this? Because that's like a big shift.
I know, chills when you said that. That was like maybe like 4 years ago now.
That is fast.
I know.
Yeah.
So
thank you for following that path and, giving such a good example to inspire so many of us.
To be honest, it's so scary. There's so many things that I was so scared of and still scared of now. And I think that it's very important for me to be vulnerable about my fears and the things that I'm going through. Because one, the material things are just material things. And it's like the more material things that manifest, the deeper the subconscious roots, their beliefs go. And so I'll get into that later, but it was just like so much that I had to work on. And but the consciousness was the first part, was just really like,
it is tough work. Like, I feel like some people think that we're playing or something, or that, it's like fun, but it is hard work. And I don't mean it like hard work. It's just a lot of energy that goes through the process of really of reprogramming and really changing those beliefs. I don't even know where to go from here, but yes, I do. Okay, so you were in that part of your life. So you basically had like a 180 shift. Did you know before that what type of business you wanted to open?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to do makeup.
Oh yeah, because you were going to school for that.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things where you say, I want to do makeup full time. And then universe is like, okay, you want to quit all these jobs. And then some of them I quit on my own. I will say that. But I'm telling you, as soon as I said that,
the universe
was like, this is what you wanted. And it's so scary at first because, like I said, I was driving for Postmates. My car broke down 4 times in 1 month.
Thank God that you say this, because in one of your episodes, you were mentioning how it is actually something good when things that we perceive as not good happen. Can you, and I imagine this is an example of that.
Yeah. So, really, like when I first started seeing it was like, again, the specific part in the story where I'm talking about like all of those jobs just started like one after another, like fell off. So the first one I quit was actually the office job, which, guys, I was making $300 a week and I was so scared to leave there. I was working 25 hours, $300 a week. And I like to say numbers because it's like, I can't leave
real,
my office job.
And
people
can really identify with it.
So I quit the office job. And then I was like, okay, I can bartend and I can drive.
Did you have a backup plan? Like, did you know where you were going to? You thought you were going to complement that income with your other jobs, with the bartending. Yeah,
because I still had bartending and I still had Postmates and I was still building my makeup. Like, I didn't need a certification to do makeup either, mind you. I just didn't have any clients. So I was like, okay, I can still do these two. And then my bartending job, I'm working like one of the biggest bars that they had. The most money I've ever made in one day was about like $800 I made. I've never made that much in one day. And all of my money from my drawer got stolen.
What?
So what happened is that we have to like put the money in a bag And then we take it up to the office and we count it. So that way, they take their money, I take mine. And I dropped the bag and somebody that worked there took it.
No way. You're kidding.
And
I'm like upset from this story.
Yeah. I was working from I
I
opened. So 10 a.m. And now it's like, I would have got off at like 2, but now it's like 4 a.m. because we're still looking around for this bag. Everybody feels so bad for me. And so the next day they're pretty much like, look, Anita, you can either pay it back or you can quit. There was no cameras, which is so dumb, but whatever. You can get mad in the situation.
You had to pay the money that you were stolen.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And honestly, if it wasn't if nobody else was there besides employees, if it was a different situation, like a customer would have taken it, would have been different. But I was like,
right.
I can't trust anybody that works here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then I was like, obviously I quit. And that's when things started to take off for me, like makeup wise. But notice how I had to physically release those things in order to have this new manifestation.
Is that like a part of the process of manifestation? Like, do you have to? Because some people are like, do I have to? Like, why can't I just carry all the world on my shoulders and add an extra thing?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that you can say, I want more makeup jobs. I want more makeup jobs. I want more makeup jobs. Yeah. But what I was actually saying at the time, because I was working weekends, right? If everybody's booking makeup on the weekends and I'm picking up a bartending shift because I'm not booked yet, what I'm telling the universe is that I don't believe that I'm going to get booked. So that's why I'm picking up a bartending shift. Like if I believed I was going to get booked, I wouldn't be working. And so a lot of people, they can't see that before it actually happens. And they think, oh, when I get booked, that's when I'll stop working. Nope. It's the other way around. And so then my car started to break down. And when I wasn't driving for Postmates, I was working on myself and I was working on my makeup business. So it's just the same thing over and over again. Like work, it's like universe is giving you little hints of like, we're showing you what to work on. You just got to do it,
Yeah. Yeah. And you were inspired by it also.
Yeah, it was so hard. Honestly, I think it was so hard because nobody in my energy knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, that must be so hard. Like for me, from your story, one of the hardest things is going so fast from you were Christian, and like Christianity has nothing wrong with it. Like no religion does. It's just that usually like manifestation is not a topic there. So that means like all of the people that you were surrounded with, like it's like a lot of changing. So how did you ended up doing makeup? Did you do the transition? How did you get to this manifestation world? Of course, like you were starting to know more about it and get more inspired from it. But how did you find, basically your passion for this and decided that this is what you were going to do?
Honestly, the biggest shift started to happen like when I was still in Virginia. That's where I was living at the time when I first became woke. I like to say,
is that where you
when I
lived?
woke up? At the time
where you grew up?
No, I'm actually from Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I moved there and I was 18, maybe 19. I can't remember. And yeah, I was planning to move to California. So my twin was in the Navy. She was going to get stationed there. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with her. Here's my opportunity. And that's when things got really hard. Like, again, my car kept breaking down. I physically couldn't get another job.
Why? Why do cars break down? I swear I went through that same stage like in college. And when I in the, at the beginning when I graduated, it was like 2 years of my car literally just breaking down all the time. And you just can't control it. And I know so many other people that have gone through the same thing. Like, why do you think that your energy, I always wanted to know, like, why does your energy, like, why are you attracting that? Like, what is it representing?
I honestly think it's a test, because especially when it comes to money, and I understand this a lot more now than I did then, but like if you're not in the state of gratitude for what you have now, then you physically can't attract more. Like there's no way. Like think of it as this, like it's Christmas right now. And I'm like, hey, Adella, I have a really, really nice, beautiful Christmas present that you've been thinking about, that you've been asking for. I've been seeing you post about it. And then I give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just don't say anything. You're just like, okay. No, thank you. No excitement, no joy. Like you don't even acknowledge it.
This wasn't what I was thinking about.
And then, or maybe it came like a different way that we wanted it to, right? And it's like, well, why would you want to give that person more gifts if they weren't grateful and gratitude, in this place of receiving? And so when you think of every single thing, especially when it comes to money as that specific scenario, that is when you'll start to operate at a higher frequency. And so again, if you're in a place where like your car breaking down is the end of the world, right? Mm-hmm. So you really have to think about it, even thinking people who are in like third world countries right now. Like you wouldn't be complaining about a car problem if you didn't have a car, you paying the deductible. Like I didn't physically have the money for my deductible when I got in a car accident, but I was very grateful that I had people who physically had the money. Because think about that. That's even a manifestation. Like, can you call somebody who has that money to help you? Because it's one thing when people say yes or no. That's a manifestation on its own. But like actually having the resources is like, whether it's you, your credit card, somebody who's helping you, grandparents. Like I've always just seen stuff in that light and showed gratitude and be like, wow, money really is always here for me when I need it.
Yeah.
And so, it was right. It was a test because what would happen is that I would manifest money and then it would be the exact amount that I needed for that car problem. And then I'd go back to where I started and I'd get so mad and I was getting in the same situation over and over again because I wasn't using gratitude that I even had the money. But then I realized this is after like a month after I invested into my first course, the Manifestation Babe, that I realized that that's why that money showed up. Like that money wouldn't have showed up in my life if that car, like that's the reason why the money showed up and I didn't know it at the time.
Oh.
And I just also wasn't operating at the same frequency as the money, right? Because like to me, I was still somebody who only made $2,000 a month. And me trying to operate as someone who made $5,000 or $10,000 a month, like I was still stingy with my money. I was still scared to spend it. It was just so many things that I didn't realize how I was blocking my own blessings.
Yes. Wow. So that makes a lot of sense. I feel like a lot of people, like in general, us, we go through all of those stages. And I know it takes a lot of time to identify them, when like, of course, this is your work, this is what you do. And so for a lot of people, I know I've been there myself, where you get stuck in a level for 5 years, more years. So why is that? Like, when is it that we can actually make like that breakthrough? And I guess like in that time in your life, you were being tested. The universe was like, Anita, so you're saying you want something more, right? You want it. So here it is. So let's see. But at the time you probably like did not know what was going on. And through that experience, you were figuring it out. And so what was could you identify a moment, or do you feel it was just a lot of moments that took you to a place where you feel like you could actually like break from that Anita that earned $2,000 and was in debt into like really operating from another level and just embodying a different version of yourself?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Such a good question. So there's definitely a lot of little ones, but I'll like kind of piece together like the big pivotal moments. So if you're ever in a place where you feel like, oh my gosh, this is rock bottom. I have no money. I have nobody that supports me. I hate where I live. I
I
hate
don't
where
know
I'm
where to
at.
start.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You're the only person that knows. Then it's just a sign that you are playing too small. So I have a podcast episode. It's called Burnt Out, or what to do when you're burnt out. And this is what I talk about on it. But it's like the reason why you feel like that and the reason why your whole reality is like that is because those things in your reality are no longer serving you. So people, places, and things. So again, I've learned this from my own experience, but also like when I look back at every single person I've interviewed, interviews I've watched, breaking down like books and stories. So when I moved, like physically moved to San Diego, which is where I'm at now.
Right. Beautiful. San Diego is so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And I really wanted to move here. And I wrote about it forever. I would journal about it, visualize it. Every single thing that I wanted manifested in 1 week.
1 week? Are you kidding me?
1 week. But I was so scared of moving here. I was so scared of all these different things. But I was like, I just got to fucking do it. I literally don't even have a choice. Like, I just got to do it.
Yeah.
Like even the money to physically get here manifested 1 week before I left. So what I've learned throughout that process, like what happened is I said I wanted to do makeup full time. I wanted to be around people who understood like what I was talking about. And then our house, we didn't physically have anywhere to live yet either. Literally,
why do you say our?
Oh, my twin sister and I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
So when we came out here,
wait, you have a twin sister?
Yeah.
All right. Just now, I don't know if you mentioned that before, but wow, she's your twin. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're two peas in a pod. We're separating this year, which is going to be super hard, but it's very essential for the twin process, I believe.
Yeah.
We're 26, I think.
It's time.
It's time. It's not, but it is. Everybody's like, are you guys going to live together when you're married? And I'm like, yes. But anyway, so I moved here. As I was physically driving to California, I got hired to do full-time freelancing for makeup. And what else happened? Oh, my sister got the place because she came here before I did. My sister physically got a location, it was a crazy story. How it's like one of those things of like, holy crap, we're so lucky. Because the people who lived at our apartment, they had to get out of their lease early. So we didn't have to pay the deposit. We just got to move in right away, which was also crazy.
Wow.
And then my neighbor just so happened to run all of the fashion shows in San Diego. And then the first week that I was here, I was doing makeup for TV. And I get there. Wow. I said something about law of attraction.
Yeah.
And I just specifically remember someone saying, yeah, law of attraction, your thoughts create your reality, duh. And I was like, oh, everybody knows about this here. That's why I say California is a different energy, because like people are very conscious and aware here. But yeah, so what I've learned throughout that process is that I released a place that was no longer serving me. Virginia wasn't bad. I actually really loved my house. It was like my first time having like an actual house. So I had to let go of that, the physical place. A lot of friends that weren't serving me anymore. You know, again, they weren't bad. They just weren't on the same track that I was on.
Yeah.
And physical things too. Like I got rid of like all my stuff, right? I'm moving across the country. And so that's what I've really pulled together with my story. And then when I got into the Manifestation Babe Academy, because like before I came here, I was like, fuck it. I'm going all in. I don't care how much money I got to spend. I don't care what I got to do. I don't care how far I got to drive. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so that's when I invested into my first course. And so when I was here, you know, I didn't have any distractions. It was like me, work, celebrating. It was like vacation the first 3 months I was here. And it was just like this time where I really got to learn about myself and say, what does Anita want?
Which I feel like it's so important.
Yeah.
So important.
And it's like so important because it's like, if you're saying, okay, well, my sister's like, or like, let me use a spouse. Like, I like to use this as an example. Like, you have a spouse and you're like, okay, it's their day off work. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily your day off work. It's like our day off work. What do they want to do and all this different stuff. So even little stuff like that, you're asking someone where they want to go eat or what do you want to do? You're like picking and pulling all of these little things from your like soul. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when you start to get mad over the remote because honestly, your soul is like, I need to be alone. I need to recharge. I need to find out who I am. And
Yeah.
I just get so sad because so many people, they're not conscious of it. And then they don't know how to like, come back to themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, and I even feel that for people that want to connect to their intuition, it's essential. Like, of course, I need my alone time, but it is in those times, it's like I feel like it's another type of meditation.
Mm.
So when you're by yourself and you're just doing things that they're very automatic and for you, for example, driving, walking, washing the dishes. I feel it's a moment where you're not really controlling from your mind, and you're in touch with that awareness, with that divine power, and it's in those moments that you're really being guided because you're open to those messages. You don't really have all those blocks, and so I feel that it's in those moments when you're like, I want this.
Mm.
I need this. Like, this is my next step. Or I haven't even realized that I've been so upset about this. So it's something very essential for us to get in touch with ourselves. So you were in basically a retreat of immersion with yourself for 3 months, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love what you just said. I like how you said that it's a form of meditation because it is.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks meditation is always like,
Yeah.
silence is one thing, but guided meditations are another thing. But I think what you just said is the most important. Like when you're like disconnected from your mind and really in tune with your body,
Yeah. You're
and
just like
listening.
not even thinking, like you're just being like, it's I don't know. We all feel it.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed lately because like, especially when you manifest a lot of material things and then you're like, you don't feel anything. Have you ever felt like that where you manifested material and then you feel
Yes.
numb?
Yes. When I manifested like a lot of the things that I had been wanting to all at once, after that, it came like an emptiness
Mm.
of like, wait. So what was all of this about? And then you start realizing, oh, so it's not about the material things. Like those are nice. But after that, I feel like I started valuing so much more living in purpose. So I was like, so this is just like something extra. It's something nice to have. But, like what really makes me happy, it's basically like experiencing myself and having a purpose of being of service. Like, okay, that's what really fills me up. And yeah, it's scary. I feel like those moments are scary. And it's also something that I've had to reprogram because I know that sometimes I block um certain material things because I remember the emptiness that I felt
Oh,
after.
that's so good.
This never ends. This work never ends. It just gets deeper and deeper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Jim Carrey says that. He's like, I want everybody to manifest the money and the material things so that they realize that they don't matter.
Yeah. Like it's nice to have, of course. It's nice to have. But then you understand that it is not about that. And I know because I know people that have it all materially. And that doesn't I was listening to a podcast the other day about Oprah. Like it was very, I think I shared it even in Instagram. It was very intuitively. I was like, what? I haven't heard this podcast in years because it's just like the same amount of episodes. And I heard Paulo Coelho talking. I don't know if you've ever heard that episode or that podcast, but it was really inspiring. It was just saying how we all have dreams, and we come with those dreams. And Oprah was like, do you think, that some people forget about them? And it's like, no one forgets about them. It's just that we like shut them up. And those dreams are our potential of what we can, be in this lifetime. And we shut that part of us down with different things. And one of those things can be with material things. So it's when we experience that void, when we're like, oh, I need something. And then you just like fill it up with material to kind of like forget about it. But then that part of you like knocks again because it is not about that. So of course, like material things are really nice. It is like a big blessing. It is a vehicle for sure. But we are here for something much, much, much deeper than that. And like our purpose will always come to light if we let it.
Ah, so good. I love this topic. And I like how you said the work never stops, because it really doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back, because I feel like we're going to end up talking about everything here. So we were just talking about, so you were in this stage in your life when you were, you had the opportunity, which is beautiful, to have 3 months for yourself. You never value that as much as when you're a mom. So I have a daughter, she's 19 months old. And I had never valued so much like being able to eat a meal by yourself. It's like those 30 minutes are sacred. And so, that's the beauty of duality, of course, that we get to experience all these differences. And in that experience, we get to appreciate them. But you had that opportunity that not a lot of people have. And it's not because they can't have it. We can all have it. But sometimes it's because we don't open ourselves, to those experiences. You had 3 months for yourself to figure out what you wanted to do, or to like start developing new dreams within yourself. And what did you discover in those 3 months?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I tapped more into what we're talking about now. And it's like the more that I tapped into it myself, the more people I started to attract who are operating at the same frequency. And then you just start to meet like, wow, like I just met the most amazing people. And that's what led me to starting my podcast, is because I was like having conversations like this, guys, like in a coffee shop. Like I would literally be in coffee shops with people for like 5 hours.
Oh my God.
I know.
Like melting. Time stops. It doesn't even exist.
Right? Like nothing else mattered. And honestly, what I've been realizing, because I was also really known, and I still am, like the party person, like, hey, let's go out, let's have a good time, let's celebrate.
I love your energy. Like your energy is like super, like you're just like a happy person. And so it's interesting having that mix with like your spirituality being open.
Yeah. And that was the thing too. It's like I realized every time I would go out, because some friends I would go out with and they're like, let's go find the coolest bar or whatever, the most good looking guy in the bar. But I realized that I'm that person that always like wanders off and like has conversations with the random people that everyone's like, where's Anita? Because I was always looking for that connection that I was getting in the coffee shops. And so we were talking about that void that you feel when you get the material things. And again, guys, we're not saying don't get the material things. We're saying like, you have to go through that process of like, okay, have a goal, hit the goal, realize nothing's internally changed. And then that's when you go through the new shift. And I think when I went through that shift, that's why I felt so lonely again. Because again, a lot of people knew about manifestation, that like, it wasn't that part anymore. I just didn't have a lot of people who were like following through, manifesting the things that they want. And then, it's 11:11 right now.
Wow. Not for me. It's 2:11 for me.
So then I went through a new shift where I was like, okay. And then the people in my life start to drop off again, or there's resistance. And now I'm getting resistance. Like, I think this is when COVID hit, when everything shifted again.
Yeah. With each up leveling, it comes new challenges, right? And yeah. And with what Anita was saying, I just want to say, yes, 100%. Like with what we were talking about, please don't think like, oh, then I don't need money. No, believe me, like you want to go and have that and get that. Because that is part of you being able to really get into your purpose. So yes, let's not block that, because I am a big believer that money is important. It when you're blocking it, you don't want to do that. So we were just in the part of, I like lost my thought for a second.
Yeah, no. So I again, universe put something in my
Oh
hands,
yeah,
right?
about the challenges. So
Yeah.
this is how I feel like a lot of the process of conscious manifestation looks like. So you do your inner work. You have that you do that guided take action, basically divine action from God. So you take action from basically divine guidance. And so you end up in a new place in the unknown. And then you have to again see other sets of challenges. But each time that you up level, it's like this new you. And it feels amazing. And it's just like you're expanding. So was this where you were in that moment? So you're like, finally, like you've wanted to be in San Diego for so long, and then you're there and you're seeing a new you. And you're like, okay, this doesn't fit in my life anymore, and this does. And so you were still doing makeup at that time, right?
Yep. So I was still doing makeup. I had Makeup Mentor podcast. When COVID hit, I started teaching about makeup, which was a whole new shift for me, right? Because I physically couldn't do makeup anymore. And so that's when, again, universe was like, you said you want to do this, such.
Yeah.
So when I started receiving money for coaching and mentoring, that was a whole nother shift, because I was like, I didn't feel worthy of receiving it. And I was like, well, if they don't manifest money, because I didn't understand why people weren't getting the results that I got when I invested in courses.
And why was that?
It's because of their beliefs and their subconscious mind, right? And honestly,
what does money has to do with worthiness?
Ooh, it has to do
That's
everything,
interesting, right? That's the right answer. It has to do everything with worthiness.
It really does. Like, a lot of people don't understand that, like if you not having enough money for rent has nothing to do with rent. You not having enough money for you to go out on the weekends or go on vacation or all this stuff, it has nothing to do with money. It has absolutely nothing to do with money. And that's why I work with people who are struggling to get money, but I also work with people who have money and are scared to spend it. Because again, it all boils down to worthiness and all of the beliefs that you have about the world, yourself, love, and money have developed ever since you were a baby up until you're 7 years old. And so the work, again, is to go back to those times. Okay, what was said that made me believe that I don't have enough money? So I talk about this story a lot, is that I did a hypnosis session, and it took me back to a time when I was 5 years old. And actually, let me tell this other story, because I like this other one better. Because I've always known I want to be a millionaire, and I always known that I want to have a lot of money, but I didn't know why until I went back to this hypnosis session. So she actually took me back when I was a baby. I was a baby in a baby carriage, and my dad had us, my twin sister and I, in Mirror at the horse races. And like all the TVs, like in this vision, I can see all the TVs, and I can see my dad like watching the horse races, and he was betting money, and he was losing, and he was very mad. And you know how when people have mad vibrations, you can physically feel it. And I was crying, and he didn't attend to me because he was losing. And so I developed the belief that money was more important than me. And if money was more important than me, then I wasn't worthy. And so that's where that deep-rooted subconscious belief about money actually came. Like, why I was like, okay, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire.
I'm surprised you could see that deep into a hypnosis.
It is crazy.
How old were you? Like, you were a baby?
A baby.
Yeah, that's insane.
And a lot of people, like some people have, like when they do this session. So I actually have this for all my one-on-one coaching. Like it's like essential just because of how much it changed my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like deep rooted into your subconscious mind. And so usually she takes you back either to those times. Sometimes it's times when you were in the womb. Like, let's say that you were like, your mom was struggling and you had no idea. Like, those beliefs are still getting developed, right? And it's sometimes they even take you back to past lives. And like one of my one-on-one coaching clients last week told us how they took her to a past life. And they're so deep rooted. You don't understand how much us doing the work now is like changing generations and generations.
Yep. Totally. Wow. So it was like during this moment that, you know, like after COVID and everything, that you basically went fully into the world of manifestation. And I saw that you're big on TikTok, by the way. How did that happen? How did you manifest that? Was it on purpose or no?
Well, I will say that like when I started coaching and like coaching makeup artists, like I didn't go all in on that. Because honestly, there's still so much resistance, not only believing in myself, but it was hard. It was just me. I was learning email marketing. I was learning social media. I was learning my own launches. And it's actually when I actually went back to work. I started working an office job again, which I did manifest that job. And I needed to not only learn about physically running an office, but I needed to learn the essentials of building a team. And that's what I like. Universe was like, this is why we're placing you here. And I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, I got connected with a beautiful soul. Her name is Kathleen Cameron. And I found her on TikTok after one of my videos blew up about manifesting money. This is before I was talking about manifesting money on my TikTok. I was actually just talking more about, you know, for makeup artists, attracting makeup artists.
Yeah.
And even though my podcast was only talking about manifestation.
So obviously your interest, and that's another thing that I always say in this podcast, and just to the people that I know in general, it is like, why is it so hard to follow the things that interest us? We have like a lot of times when it's things that are not, you know, valued by society. It is hard for us sometimes to accept them and follow them. And if we only knew that in following our literally natural interests, whatever sparks us joy, it's like where we will find the things that we're looking for. So like for you, of course you liked makeup, and I'm sure you still like it, and your makeup is beautiful.
Thank you.
But your biggest passion was like in manifestation and and reprogramming and healing and the energy world. So of course it probably took a little message from the universe to like guide you towards it.
Lots of messages. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because when I interviewed Kathleen, I realized that I was trying to prove to her that I knew what she was talking about. Like she went from $3,000 a month to over $300,000 a month, teaching exactly what I was teaching everybody. The only difference was that she was living it. And so I ended up quitting my office job. I put my 6 weeks in. So I quit the office job. I launched a new program, the 31 Days of Abundance. And I went to go visit my sister, right? Everything that I would be doing if I was living my most abundant life, you know, and I always follow through, even though when things get rocky and you're like, holy shit, I don't even know how I'm going to make this happen anymore. So I launched the program, went to go visit my sister. I like stopped making sales, like, cause I had a 3-day workshop and then the 31 Days of Abundance. So the 3-day was $30 and the 31 day was $300. So I was like, okay, well, all I need to do is sell at least 130 days a month or a week, to replace this office job. But I didn't make any sales. And I was like, and I was kind of freaking out. And I was like, okay, I got to pay rent. I got to pay Insta Podcast, my podcast team.
Right.
I got to pay my virtual assistant who I had for $15 an hour. And I like all the fears are coming up. And then Kathleen comes along and I did her workshop. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm playing too small. I'm not going big enough. And so I actually invested into her Diamond Academy to be a certified coach with her.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you guys, like, again, I physically didn't have, like, my credit score wasn't high enough to get approved for a loan to join Kathleen's program. Cause I think it was like, I don't know if I can give exact numbers, but it was like $15,000. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I don't care how I get the money. I just need to get it and get in, you know? And so I actually asked my mom to get the loan for me and I could pay off the loan that way.
Did you feel scared doing that?
I did, but I also knew she would say yes. And it was so crazy because it was like, I knew exactly what I needed to do. And this is another part where you guys get to and you're like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Imagine knowing what you need to do and you just got to do it. And you're like, fuck, I don't want to do it.
So how do you know what you want to do? Do you think it's like something that intuitively like you're pulled towards to, and you know, sometimes like your mind just doesn't want to accept it, or because a lot of people are like, I don't know, I'm stuck. What's the next step? I don't know.
So if you don't know what to do, what I always do, I mean, I was just teaching the same technique that I tell everybody, which was how much money, when do you need it by? Mm-hmm. What are all the possible ways that you can get it? Mm-hmm. And you do the ways that the money can come to you, like on a physical level, like asking my mom was on that list. Mm-hmm. Selling one-on-one coaching for $10,000 was on that list. Mm-hmm. What else was on there? I had a couple other things too, and then I exhausted that list, all the things that were on that list. I was like, okay, I got to go through all these things, and universe is going to meet me halfway, but I gotta like do my part. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so long story short, even when my mom said, yes, we got approved for the loan, I had to there was still so much physical resistance of now my problem wasn't having the money. I was physically trying to transfer the money from her account to my account. And there's fees. And these are problems you don't even think about when it comes this amount of money.
Yeah.
So long story short, I finally paid for the course. And mind you, I still don't know how I'm going to pay rent. I don't know how I'm going to pay my team. Everything's due by the end of the week. And I was going to Vegas to talk about manifestation that weekend.
Way.
And so I just paid it and I was like, okay, relax, watch TV, just chill out, Anita.
Yeah.
And then the next day I was running around doing errands, and there was a girl who I'd never even met before who made a video about how she manifested a new job, a scholarship, all these opportunities. And I duetted it. And the video got 1 million views.
No way.
And for the first time ever, my sales were like, ding, 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 ding.
Wow.
I was making sales with my 3-day workshop, but it wasn't like this. And I was like, oh, and I manifested, I think, $2,000 in this one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is confirmation.
This is the right path.
So long story short, I still go to Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking on stage and I'm calling people out. I'm acting like I'm the shiz. It was so fun for me. And it just really, really helped me embody I'm doing this. And then I got off stage and my 31 days of abundance was ding, 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 ding. And I was like, oh
no.
And I was just crying, overwhelming, because the sales are one thing, the money's one thing, but the amount of testimonies that I had in my DMs, this changed my life, this changed my life, this changed. I literally had someone, and I don't talk about this on any of my platforms because I don't want people to think they can join my courses, and I don't want people to join for the money. I'm going to manifest what they manifest, right? She manifested $20,000 in 3 days. And I was like, and she was my first client that I had that was okay, I got the money, but I don't feel worthy of receiving it. I don't feel like I can spend it. I'm scared to spend it. And that's why I made the 31 days of abundance. And so she was really a really good testimony for oh, okay. So now this is the new level. So honestly, that's when everything changed. And the one thing I want to point out that I realized is that I was already living, like I would go through that process. And that's why I would like manifest the things that I wanted. Then I would go back to where I'd started. Like I'd release people, places, and things every time I wanted more money or every time I launched. And then I would have some big goals, finish the goals. But then there's still things that I didn't follow through with. And I noticed with Kathleen's course, because the first time I heard about it, I was excited, I was motivated, but I didn't make the decision. I wasn't willing to do whatever it took, you know?
Yeah.
And I realized it had nothing to do with the course. The course is amazing. Yeah. Her material is amazing. The energy is amazing. But it was mostly me. It was me getting really excited, motivated, but not following through. And it was just this vicious cycle that I was in over and over and over and over again. And so when I broke that cycle, I attracted other people who were also breaking that cycle. And that's why my sales went viral.
Wow. I love your story on so many levels because one, I feel it is so relatable. Two, I feel like it just like explains to so many of us the same cycles that we go through. And that, you know, all the lies that we tell ourselves because maybe we don't want to show that courage that we do have inside of us to get to that next level, and we're scared. That's the reason. Like, we're scared. And what you did, it took so much courage, not once, not twice, many times, doing it over again, over again, over again. And I know that a lot of people are so afraid of failing, you know, like failing and having really bad results and doing something that can change their lives, not for the good, but for the bad. And I always feel that when you're on your right path, like the universe, God will never, ever, ever drop you, ever. And if you are in the first place acting from fear, which it would be, let's say that you're really attracted to this world, but you're like, no, I said that I was going to succeed in makeup. And, you know, because of another belief you have that you're not worthy of doing something that makes you happy and that you have to stay with your first choice. I don't know. We're so full of them.
Yeah.
And that's when you encounter in the future a result that you didn't want to. But when you're in your purpose, you're doing what lights you up, there's no way. Like, simply as simple as that, there's no way that the universe will you know, like drop you, and you will always get what you asked or something better. So I am so excited that you have shared with us your story. I feel it is very uplifting and inspiring. And so what would you tell you know, people that are on the journey that you were, and you know, what can they start doing? Like, what would you tell them? Like, where can they start to really change their lives and finally connect to those goals that they want and deserve?
So good. Everything that you just said is so good. I'm a really big step-by-step process type of person. So I like to give step-by-step process. I'm like, if I could look back and be like, oh my gosh, I wish someone would have told me just do those things. So the first thing is to get super clear on what you want, right? And the fastest way to get clear on what you want is to get clear on what you don't want. Like, everything in your life right now, even if it's not bad, guys, this is the hardest part where a lot of people get stuck, because it's like, for example, my apartment. I love my apartment. I just wrote a review about this place the other day, and I was like, man, I'm really sad that I'm leaving here. But like, I can tell it's no longer serving me because of the way that I physically feel when I get here. I'm like, darn it, now's the time. I got to move. And so it may be like a physical place. It may be like a workplace. It may be people in your life. Get super clear on what's no longer serving you about that job, how much money, like get specific on numbers too. And then, so write all the things that you don't want. And then on the opposite side, write all the things, just the complete opposite of what you do want, right? Like, I don't want a job that pays me every week. I want a job that pays me every single day, this amount of money, And so then the second step is to release. So it's all about, especially when it comes to quantum leaping and you're like, holy shit, I just went from this to that in a matter of months. It's like always a process of how fast can you release? How fast can you release? So again, people, places, and things. Now you're conscious of the things that are blocking you, right?
Yeah.
So releasing those things. And then the third step is to just follow through. So like get clear, make a plan. Yes, you are going to make a plan of how it's possible. And I know a lot of people say, don't worry about the how. We've been programmed to believe and worry about the how for so long. So it's a process. When your brain can physically see, okay, I could do that. I could sell this. I could make this course and I could make this amount of money.
Yeah.
Like your plan is never going to go the way that you think it is, just like how mine never went the way that I thought it was. Yeah. But when you follow through and you do the things and you meet the manifestation halfway, it will always manifest and things will physically shift. That's why they call it shifting, guys, because things are shifting and they're moving and it looks like adversity, but really those things are so essential to happen and fall out of place. Just like how all my money got stolen from my drawer, my car broke down. So once you're conscious of that and you're like, oh, this is a good sign. Nice try testing me. That's when things really, really start to, again, shift in your reality. So think from that abundant mindset of what you'd be doing if you already had the money, and don't manifest the money, manifest the things that you'd be doing with the money. And that's when the money comes.
Oh, I love it. Anita, how can people connect with you and work with you?
Yay! So wait, when is this coming out? I'm trying to think of what we got going on right
now. Probably next week.
Next week. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Maybe even today.
Well, if anyone's listening to this before December 18th, we're having a Christmas party in California.
I'll release it today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're having a Christmas party in California. This is my biggest manifestation. And it's so hard for me because it has nothing to do with courses. And I'm like, again, shifting my mindset all over again. I'm like, are people going to come? But yeah, we're having this really huge Christmas party. And it's like, kind of like, for people who've just blown up on TikTok. I mean, not necessarily just TikTok people, but like getting up there, sharing their manifestations, some giveaways, fun stuff there.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So if anybody's like listening to this before then, you're in California, guys, please message me on Instagram. I'll give you a specific code so that you guys can have some money off your tickets, but we just really want to see you there. And then other than that, you can find me on, again, Instagram, Manifesting Money Podcast. TikTok is where I post the most and I'm live the most. And then you can also find us on YouTube. We just barely started posting on YouTube.
That's so exciting.
Manifesting Money Podcast.
Perfect. Anita, it was like a big pleasure having you here. It's been so much fun, this conversation. I feel like we could talk for a couple more hours, no problem. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure everyone is going to love this episode because truly there's a lot of gold in here. Thank you so much for sharing with us your knowledge, your story. I will be following you and I'm just wishing for you, so much success with everything that you're doing. Thank you for lighting up the world and inspiring us. And for everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bye, loves.
Bye.